Welcome back to another episode of the Membership IQ. This is where you tune in to get smart about membership. I'm Sarah Sladek, your host. And if this is your first time here, well, I am so glad that you are tuning in. And I have to tell you that these podcasts are completely unscripted. They're off the cuff. And I feel like you should know that if you haven't tuned in before, because there may be random errors or babbling that happens. But bear with me. I'm trying to be as authentic as possible to pass on really great strategies and insights on this topic of membership, which, let's face it, isn't really well explored or known or studied. It's kind of been in the past, the associations just winged it, and they learned from their elders and they carried on traditions. But wow, so much change is happening now. So it's absolutely imperative that we really pause and think about what is relevant in today's world when we think about membership. Now, for today's episode of the podcast, I did wander up to the attic to gather a few props, and they are trophies. And I want to talk a little bit about trophies and recognition today. As you can see, my trophies are all tennis related because a long, long time ago, far, far away, Sarah was a pretty good tennis player. I was kind of obsessed with it. I played lots of tournaments and I played year round, and it was my thing, right? We all have our thing. And I acquired a lot of trophies, not for participation, because I'm old enough to be part of the generation where you had to actually earn a trophy, earn recognition. Now, I say that a little bit sarcastically, and let me explain. When the millennial generation came of age, it was a time of great disruption. It was when technology was coming on the scene. There was a lot more awareness and information about all the terrible things happening in the world. And so the parents of millennials began to shift their parenting styles. And they began to say, what is something that we can control in our children's lives? And it was simply this idea of recognition, happiness. If we can give our children some sort of reward just for showing up in this time of incredible challenge and change, that's going to instill greater happiness. And that is something we can control. This was the thinking at that time. Hence, the millennial generation became known as the trophy generation, the first to be rewarded for participation, not achievement. But me, I'm not a millennial. I was born in the dark ages before all this. And so that's why I say I had to earn these trophies, and they weren't just given to me. Now, I have a box in my attic full of trophies, and that box hasn't been opened until now for many, many, many years. So I don't really revisit it. I don't revisit that past, but I have held on to them, I guess, because I feel that they're a little bit special because I did earn them, and because it reminds me of an era that's gone by, a piece of me that may not be at the forefront anymore, but once upon a time, that was part of Sarah and Sarah's life. So maybe that's why when I received in the mail the other day a pin from an association, I'll turn it backwards so you can't see the logo, a little pin with a note that says, "Congratulations on your 10th anniversary of membership." Now, this spurred a whole wave of emotion and thoughts, because first I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. They remembered that I joined the association 10 years ago, and they took the time to send me this little pin that says 10 years on it. But that was quickly replaced by some other thoughts and emotions, because I started tallying up, right or wrong, I'm sharing with you from a member experience and perspective here. Right or wrong, I started tallying up all the financial investment I've made into this association over that 10-year time span. And I started thinking about other things, again, right or wrong. I started thinking about the lack of outreach by this association to establish a relationship with me, their member. Everything has been very distant. Everything has been very, here we are, here's the information. If you choose to partake in it, great. If not, we don't really notice that you're there. We're not going to make the effort to go above and beyond to forge that relationship or to get you more involved. But I started feeling a little bit bitter. I'm just being honest. I started feeling a little bit bitter because I started thinking, gosh, this membership is not inexpensive. This is actually kind of a higher cost membership. So I'm really investing for access to products, services, information. And I started thinking about over 10 years, thousands of dollars that I've invested into this organization to get a pin, which was accompanied by a note that said, put this on social media. What? I'm gonna show my pin with great pride for this organization that hasn't taken the time to establish a relationship with me, much less recognition. That's not how membership today works. That's how it used to work. You see, before there was even a trophy generation, there was this idea, this concept that by being part of a community of people, you would wear on your lapel a pin to show the world that you were part of that organization. It was a calling card. It was a point of pride. It was something very collegial, and it was very trendy up until really the 1980s. That was a big part. But society has begun to shift since then. It's not kind of a collegial brotherhood club mentality anymore. We're thinking about membership in very different ways. So the pin doesn't really, pardon the pun, it doesn't really stick the landing. So what does? Well, I'm so glad you asked. A few years ago, I actually had an association client reach out and say, we want to begin to recognize members throughout the entire year. We want to do something creative. We want to do something innovative. We want to know what organizations out there have a culture of recognition. Wow. Think about that for a moment. A culture of recognition. Something that is very intentional about recognizing your members and saying thank you. So we did some research and we looked far and wide. We looked globally as well as locally at all types of associations. And we found, after months of research, what we found is that there's actually a really tiny percent of associations that have a culture recognition or are even making efforts to have a culture recognition. The vast majority of associations are focused on things like pins, ribbons, certificates, and awards, but they still have those awards that actually are earned and can only be earned in so many cases by people who have been in the industry or been a part of the association for many, many, many years. This pin giving organization included. Even though I have been in my profession for quite some time, all of the awards, I can't qualify for them. I simply can't. All the awards are for people who have been in this profession and this industry for decades, many, 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 many years, beyond. So my 10 years and that pin are kind of paltry. It's kind of just saying, Congratulations, you made it. And that's not the information that I want to receive. That's not the sentiment I want to have when I'm thinking about membership and my investment into this particular community. It's kind of like going to Disney World, or going on vacation somewhere. And you've seen those T-shirts. They say, my whole family went to Disney World and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. Well, it's kind of the same feeling. It's kind of the same sentiment. It's the taste of bitterness in your mouth. I don't want to be recognized for just paying dues. I want to feel that I'm part of the community. I want to be thanked a lot more often. I want to be recognized and gifted. Let me pause again. This is off the cuff, remember? I want to be recognized, yes, for things I achieve, but not necessarily things that I achieve over a long period of time. And I want to be gifted, when I am gifted, with something that I actually need and want. I don't need a pin or want a pin. I'm not likely to wear a pin that says I've been part of this organization for 10 years. I'm just not. That era is over in so many regards. Here and now, when we talk about the modern member and the modern membership, people want that recognition. Yes, they want it to be genuine and authentic. They want it to be on the fly. So things like recognizing outstanding member of the year, outstanding new member of the year, recognizing someone who's done something amazing early in their career, a trendsetter, a trailblazer. It doesn't have to be all about legacies anymore. But also, members want to receive little gifts and recognition throughout the year. And it doesn't have to be super fancy. And it doesn't have to be every 10 years. But it needs to be genuine and heartfelt. So some examples: St. Associations gift members with membership for a year, with access to conferences, with opportunities to sit next to next to someone who's a celebrity in the organization or a notable thought leader and spend quality time with that person, backstage passes to something. This idea that you are special, you are meaningful. I've seen organizations take actual rocks and write "you rock" on it, and give it as a little traveling trophy, or just give it as a paperweight. The digital badges. There's so many things that can be done that makes a person feel really proud to be part of your community. And it isn't forced. It isn't that you're told to go out and post something on social media. And it isn't something that you have no interest in. It isn't every once in a long, long while. It isn't outdated or irrelevant. What would your association look like if it was truly fostering a culture of recognition, if it was thinking about all year long, throughout the year, ways to recognize your members, not just achievements within the association or profession or industry, but recognize other attributes and ways that people are successful, committed, dedicated, and making a difference. It goes way beyond a pin, don't you think? I'm Sarah Sladek. Thank you for tuning in to the Membership IQ.